Hey, welcome back to the Healthy Living Scottsdale podcast. I'm your host, Coach Zach. I'm here with Coach Zach and sweet as candy, Coach Brandy.
Hi, everyone.
Hi, everyone.
What's up?
What's up? How are we doing today, guys?
Doing great.
Good.
So, we've got just shooting from the hip here today with our podcast topic. Yesterday was a holiday and we came off of the weekend, and Zach's like, hey, what are we going to podcast about tomorrow? And I was like, I have no idea. So, so I came up with a topic real quick and thought that it would be a good follow-up actually from last week's episode where we were talking about our abs actually made in the kitchen. So, this week we're talking about the Adonis Index, aka the Adonis Effect or ratio. So, and the Adonis is, refers to kind of the male ratio, and then the female version is called the Venus factor. But basically what this means is it's a chest to waist ratio that is an indicator of, I guess, how healthy you are, how manly or womanly you are, how attractive you are to the opposite sex. So it's kind of like there's several things that's been around for thousands of years. I think it was established in like ancient Greece, right?
Based off a Greek god, right?
Based off of a Greek god, right? Having the body of a Greek god, or goddess, which we all do, obviously. That's why we do what we do. And so I wanted to talk about this because last week, our episode, we were talking about abs really being made in the kitchen, yes or no. And we basically were all kind of under the consensus of, no, you have to train your abs. Like if you want to see them, you have to train them. And clients come in all the time and they're like so focused on their weight or their measurements. And I think one thing that's really powerful is to accept your body, like your genetics of how you're structured, because every single body is different. But that doesn't mean that just because you have bigger hips or a bigger chest or whatever, that you're incapable of creating kind of that look that you want. And so body sculpting isn't necessarily a thing where we're trying to target, reduce fat or whatever. But you can produce these ratios that are kind of, I guess, just in tune or like intrinsic, that we look at and go like, oh, that's an attractive body, right? So Brandy, I want to go to you on this because I feel like maybe the female mindset or perspective is a little more anal about this than men are. Yeah, right. Like possibly, it just depends, right, on the person. But women are always trying to achieve, it seems like, that perfect body type or hourglass figure or whatever.
Hourglass, curvy body. Right. So trying to be, lean, but lean with curves. Through your workout. You hear toned all the time.
Yep.
That's something that we've talked about in previous podcasts. I had actually not heard of the Adonis Effect before this podcast, but looked it up before our conversation. And yes, it's a ratio for guys. It's chest to waist, and then for women it would be like chest to waist and then to hips. So kind of ideally that hourglass figure. It's not something personally that, that I spend too much time thinking about. I know that it can be built in, though, to, kind of, especially with the social media influence. I think there's a lot of information on social media out there with influencers and really kind of striving for this certain look. I don't hear too much about it, like in the gym setting.
Yeah.
But, I think we're all here for a purpose, and maybe aesthetics could be one purpose, but I think beyond that, there's usually a bigger purpose beyond aesthetics for why someone is coming to the gym.
See, I disagree with that.
You think?
I think that working out didn't make you look better, that the only people that would work out would be like professional athletes.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think you learn the real benefits as you spend time working out, but most people don't start it for that. Like people would say they want to be healthy, right? But like they want to look a certain way. If you gave them the choice to look a certain way, maybe not be as healthy or be very healthy, but it didn't look like it, I feel like most people would choose to look a certain way. So that I would agree for the most part.
Yeah. So, I've heard it just, throughout the years, just being in this industry, I've met with thousands of people and done thousands of consultations. And I'm always asking them like, what's your why? Like, what are you trying to accomplish? Why are you here? Like, and so often, it's kind of like the appearance side of things is the most important to them. Some people will obsess about their weight. Like they have this specific number in mind. And I'm like, listen, if you weighed 300 pounds, but your body shrunk in size, would you care about the weight? And they're like, no. Right. But they're always so focused on the number on the scale. And so that's really the reason, like, I wanted to talk about this, because it's not about what the number is on the scale. It's not about your weight. It's not even about your measurements. It's about it when you're working out and you're fit. It doesn't matter what the weight is. What you're looking for when it comes to the appearance side of things is really the like contour of the muscle, like the tone, right? And then the shape of your body. Like, how is your body structured? And unless somebody mentally kind of has this warped view of things, they don't want their body to just be like straight up and down and have no muscle, no fat, and just be a twig. Like, very few people want that, right? And a lot of women come in that just naturally are very skinny, and they're like, I want to add muscle. And it's like, well, why do you want to add muscle? Well, because I want that like lean toned look. And so what I'm trying to get through to people is like, we're talking about ancient Greece, the body of a Greek god. Like this goes back thousands of years. They knew this back then, which was like, okay, there's this ratio that exists between your chest and shoulder width to your hip width that's ideal for as far as like appearances go, right? And so what I want people to focus on is like, yes, we have to get that through working out. And that's where the idea of bodybuilding originated, right? Is like, okay, how do I build my body into this like Greek god image that matches that and aligns with that?
Right. Yeah. And I think just to kind of play off of what you said, I think a lot of times, speaking from female perspective, they'll come in, if someone's super skinny and they're wanting to sculpt or shape their body, and you ask them, are you okay with, you might gain weight as you start to build muscle. Are you okay with that? And I think sometimes people will say yes, but then as they start to see the number on the scale go up, then that's concerning to them. And so I really want people to know that it's okay to see that number on the scale go up, because usually that means you're building muscle. Muscle weighs more than fat. So as you start to shape your body with muscle, the scale is going to go up. And, it can be tough, but it's okay.
Yeah. Zach, like this personal question, but I just thought it would be fun. Like, what kind of like body shape in a female do you find most attractive? You don't want to say.
It's tough because like, I don't know if I have like a mental image in my mind, but like you have to like, I don't want to say work out because I feel like that means lifting, but like you need to like take care of yourself somehow. So I don't know that I have like a shape, like we're talking about today is a lot of like the like silhouette, right, of what somebody would look like. It's not necessarily like a preference to me, but like they need to do exercise of some sort to take care of themselves, to maintain and be healthy. So like I love lifting, I love running, I love all these different things, but like that's never been like a prerequisite of mine. Like you don't have to lift, you don't have to do all these things that I love to do, but you need to do something to take care of yourself. Just more than anything, just because I feel like that tells you like more about the person than what they look like in general anyway. Just because like if you don't care enough to take care of yourself, then like there's nothing we're really going to relate to, you know, just because it's such an important thing to me.
Yeah. But Brandy, like I have the same question for you, right? So, is there, and I totally get what you're saying. That was a very safe answer, Zach.
Yeah. I passed that one, huh?
But I just mean like if you're walking down the street and out of the corner of your eye, like what catches your attention, right? Is there something to this Adonis effect or Venus factor that's like there's something to that, because like I could not be paying attention, walk down the street and like that body type catches my eye versus a different one.
Yeah.
And it's just like an instinctual thing. I'm not saying that it has to do with anything other than the fact of like, oh, what's, you know, like it's nature, it's just built into us.
Yeah. I would say not in terms of like sex appeal, but you know, if someone walks by, you're talking about the Adonis effect, and, you know, someone has a really nice, you know, build, female or male, I'm going to appreciate the hard work that went in to building that structure. So, yeah, I mean, Adonis effect, Venus effect, I think there is some truth to that in terms of, you know, sex appeal and looking at someone and thinking, you know, wow, they look really good. I think there's some truth to that, but I think that for me, it's more of out of like respect, you know, because I know how much hard work went into creating that shape. So, you know, I'm a fan.
I'm a fan. The reason I bring that up is because, well, one, I thought it'd be fun, but two, I think that just like it's nature, it's built into us. The reason that we find fit people attractive on like the most basic level is because that's an indication of health, and that's somebody that we would be capable of reproducing with, right? So like from a basic scientific like survival method, it's like one of the reasons that we find fit people attractive just naturally is because we think of that person as like a potential mate to reproduce with and survive, right? And advance the human race. And so when it comes to fitness, it's like, I don't think that people would work out if being fit didn't necessarily like make you look better. Very few people would, a lot less people than do now, right? And I think the motivation behind that is because we want to be healthy, but the reason we want to be healthy is so that we're sexually attractive to other people. And so I think that's kind of where the Adonis effect like comes into play, right? And I don't think, like I would agree with Zach that I don't think there's any specific one size fits all like body type.
Right.
But what I would tell anybody, male, female, that's coming in is like, hey, what if you're unhappy with your appearance, we're not going to focus on the weight, the number on the scale. We're going to focus on what your shape is, right? And that's one reason why people in our industry always promote like doing measurements, right? Is like, okay, we're going to do measurements because that's a more effective way of tracking things than just looking at your weight. And, you know, I guess if you were doing it and just going for like that Adonis effect, you could take those specific measurements. But regardless, it's like, hey, let's just change the shape of your body, the contour of your body, even if it's never going to be this ideal, like whatever society has told us it's supposed to be, it's still like can be the most attractive version of you.
Right.
Yeah, and I don't really like I kind of like the whole like theory thing and not just because like I feel like people in general tend to worry way too much about whatever the numbers may be. So like on one hand it's good because it's like a quantifiable way to like track progress and things like that. But I feel like kind of like you touched on social media earlier too. Like I feel like people like it now, it's very evident that people have found a way to attain the shape without actually like doing whatever necessary to actually do it. So it's not like I don't know what I know what my waist measurement is, but like I don't know what my measurements are.
Because you wear pants,
right? Well,
right?
Well, and, yeah, exactly.
Like, yeah.
Well, and it was never occurred to me like to know what my whatever measurements are. So like I would never like prescribe somebody like we need to hit this ratio or whatever it is. So I don't really I tend to like move away from things where it's like a solid principle based on whatever number, because it usually it's not representative of everybody. But like it's a good it's kind of like a good benchmark in a sense, just that you want to hit whatever ratio because it's usually indicative of good health, right? Yeah. So like biologically, like people be attracted to whoever that might have like a male that has like a wider upper body and then smaller waist, just because like that indicates he's usually has less body fat, more muscle, things like that. And like especially like the waist would be the most important for either, just because that's like where all of the most important things in your body are, like right around your midsection, all your visceral organs, things like that. So like that would be very indicative, just going back indefinitely, for like if you're looking for like a potential like whatever like partner or like biological mate or whatever, like that would be what you would look for, like the most suitable candidate, because that's for your like bloodline or whatever it may be. So like I would never like want people to be so focused on hitting the ratio, but like it's certainly a good way to like, not because I want to look this way just so I look this way, but like just because like if you look that way, the odds are you are in better shape or better like health in general than somebody who's not.
Right. And everyone's genetics are different too. Yep. So you're not going to be able to achieve, or, not everyone's going to be able to achieve those perfect ratios based on what your genetics are. And, I think that striving to achieve the best version of whatever you can achieve is really what we're after here, is what I feel like is important, is just working really hard trying to achieve that best version of you, whatever that is. To me, that's what's most attractive, is, just kind of the willingness and dedication to work hard. Yeah,
I completely agree.
Yeah, and I feel like you just need to be able to control like what you can control. So like the genetics thing, like the waist is usually the easiest example. Like some people just have a genetically like small waist like throughout their whole life. Some people don't. So even like if they put on like weight, they probably don't put it around their waist, or their waist tends to stay around the same amount. So like if you're somebody who doesn't have that and you have like a thicker like midsection or whatever you want to call like just a wider waist in general, and like you want that like V-taper look, which would correspond to the Adonis ratio, then you need to know that like, okay, the waist is only going to change so much, right? Like you can lose a lot of body fat in general, but if you lose basically all that you safely can lose around that area, that's as good as it's going to get. So if that's as like minimal as you can make the midsection look, then if you want to achieve that look, that like V-taper, well then it has to come somewhere else. So like we have to build the upper body or the lower body to achieve from either direction, right? Whether it's male or female. So I don't really like talking about genetics. I feel like people use it for an excuse all the time. But like if you know that and you're honest with yourself, you're like, okay, I don't have that like capability to reduce my waist outside of surgical means or whatever, like a lot of people like to do. Then you need to know, like, yeah, my course of action has to be, then I have to work hard and do the right things to put on muscle somewhere else to achieve the closest I can get to looking like that.
Yeah, agreed. All right. Well, I mean, you heard it here first. Stay healthy, stay sexy. That's basically,
healthy is sexy.
Healthy is sexy. Yeah. So, all right, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to go out and get that Adonis effect or Venus factor or whatever you want to call it, then, go and do it. But, you heard it here first. What's most important is the effort and the hard work that you put in. And that's the thing that is most attractive to, at least somebody that understands the work that it requires and appreciates it. So
definitely.
All right. Thanks for listening, guys. We'll be back with you next week with more great stuff. Thank you so much for listening to the Healthy Living Scottsdale podcast. Do you have a question that you'd like for us to answer live on the podcast? If so, all you need to do is head over to the Apple Podcast app on your iPhone and do 3 simple things. First, leave us a rating and review telling me what you think of the podcast. In that review, ask anything you want related to health, fitness, or nutrition. And if you want a shout out, leave us your Instagram handle or name. That's all you have to do. Then listen to hear your questions answered live on the next Q&A episode.